Haliburton's got the ball. Haliburton rises up. And there's a whistle. Oh, my goodness. Tyrese Haliburton hits a three and is fouled.
You have got to be kidding me.
McConnell underneath the basket. Looking. Toppin in the corner for three.
Oh, yeah! Yeah! OB!
Pacers have it, a chance to tie.
Yeah, Nembhard
hits the three. Nembhard gives Indiana the lead.
Hello and welcome back to the Pacers Fever Show. I'm your host, Logan, and we are here to talk about a live reaction, my live reaction to Game 2. We are recording this at 10:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Game ended about 20 minutes ago. I'm still sweating from running in here just to get on the podcast to really get my reaction to this. And sorry if it's not as organized as it typically is for this show, but I just thought I would get my initial thoughts here for this game because for 3+ quarters, this was not a fun game for the Indiana Pacers against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who came in undermanned. So before we get any of this started, I just want to say thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, you can go over to YouTube, subscribe, comment what was the best part about the end of this game, because there probably weren't very many good parts throughout the game. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about some of the players that had good performances. But I mean, up until the fourth quarter, this looked pretty grim for the Pacers. I thought, this is very typical of what the Pacers do against teams that we know going into the game are going to be undermanned, that are not going to have their squad at full strength. The Pacers typically struggle with that. The immaturity had come out in multiple different areas throughout the season where we should have beaten teams, or we should have put teams away, and we just didn't, because the Pacers just have this way of playing down to their opponent. And I believe that was the case for 3+ quarters in this game. I mean, if you put together collectively the minutes where the Pacers just weren't very good, I mean, it was at least 3/4 of this game. And to say that the Pacers came out and won this game 120-119 over Cleveland to take a 2-0 series lead on the road heading back to Indianapolis, where they will have home court advantage and will look to put the Cavs away at home and not even return to Cleveland. What a turn of events over the last 48 hours. I mean, just an unbelievable performance by the Pacers in this fourth quarter, a great performance in Game 1, and now we head back with a 2-0 series lead. And guys, I am speechless after the end of that game. I mean, the Pacers, time and time again, when I've thought there is no possible way that they come back in this game, they've done it again. They have come back from the dead, and they beat a team that they had no business beating. It's amazing. This is becoming a historic postseason run, just because of the two games that they've had. One against the Bucks in Game 5, one against these Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 2. We're just making all these memories because of all these great moments at the end of these games to clinch a win in the jaws of death. I mean, we're grabbing it right out of the jaws of death, and the Pacers have done this time and time again. I'm just having a hard time coming up with words, just because of how excited I am that the Pacers were able to pull this game off, because I don't think anybody had this happening. They were down 14 heading into the fourth quarter. They outscored the Cavaliers 36-21 in that fourth quarter, in a game where Andrew Nembhard, I think, played his worst postseason game that he's ever put up, with 8 turnovers. Tyrese Haliburton injured his wrist and really didn't look very normal throughout the game. They kind of took him out of the game anyway, so he wasn't really involved until the fourth quarter. Pascal Siakam was not good in this game. Miles Turner missed a few shots that he usually makes right around the rim that could have gotten the Pacers back in this game earlier. They went on runs, but then Donovan Mitchell took over. Mitchell had 48 points, and I actually tweeted that the Cavs needed a 50-point performance from Donovan Mitchell in order to win this game. It's wild that he ends on 48 and the Pacers win. And that was a tweet that I had no thought that the Pacers were going to win this game. But the fact he didn't get to 50, if he gets to 50, the Cavs win by 1 point. So I cannot believe that this has happened. At this point, I don't think anybody can beat these Pacers. Like, that's how high I am on this victory. I mean, it's just unbelievable performance after unbelievable performance, where even in times where this Pacer team should lose, they haven't lost. So let's go through this. I'm going to go through the rundown. Sorry if this is kind of all over the place. I usually have a lot of time to prep notes, but I wanted to get on here and react live. We'll probably do a more cleaned up version of this and then a preview episode as well. So you might be getting a couple more episodes throughout the week as we lead into game 3 on Friday night. But I just wanted to get on here and just talk about this game because there's not a lot to talk about until about the fourth quarter for these Pacers. The Pacers did have a very good second quarter, I thought, offensively, but defensively, again, they just kind of looked out of sorts trying to stop Donovan Mitchell, and a lot of their shooters got hot. So they were firing all cylinders. The Cavs threw the best punch I think that they were going to get from guys that were stepping in starting spots because Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter, and Darius Garland are all injured and did not play in this game. But let's start there. I mean, what happened? That's the first thing on my rundown. What just happened? The Pacers, I mean, throughout this game, let's just talk about the first quarter, right? The first quarter, Cleveland leads 32-15 at the end of the first. I mean, it felt like Cleveland was going to run away with this game after the first quarter. The Pacers had no answers for Donovan Mitchell. They didn't have answers for anybody defensively. They couldn't hit any shots. I mean, they started out, I think, on a 9-4 run to begin the game and then only score 6 the remaining, I think it's 8 or 9 minutes of the quarter. And Cleveland just goes on a hot streak. I think it ended up being like a 28-6 run to end the first quarter. The Cavaliers was there. It buried the Pacers. They get 6 points back at the half, but you didn't feel like they were ever going to get back underneath 11 points. Like, it just kept going to where, I mean, the Pacers would get down by 9. There was a point in which they got down by like 6 or 7. The Cavs built it back up to 14 quickly. And it did. It felt like one of those games where we were just going to be really frustrated because we had our opportunities. And through my whole group text with my dad and brother who are Pacer fans, throughout that whole text chain, it's just a lot of going back and forth of like, this isn't working. This needs to improve. This needs to be better if they're serious about contending. You know, there was so much that I was seeing in this game where the Pacers were doing exactly what they had done in the regular season. I mean, you can point to where they were falling apart. It was turnovers, offensive rebounds, and just the hustle. I mean, the Pacers come out against teams like this typically where it's not that, I mean, I guess they play down to them, but it's really just, and give Cleveland credit and I guess give the Pacers some credit here where it's very difficult to prepare for a lineup that you don't typically see together, a rotation you haven't game plan for. I mean, I don't think the Pacers came into this thinking all 3 of these guys would be out, but they all 3 ended up being out. So now you have to prepare for a lineup that inserts Ty Jerome and where you got Sam Merrill. I mean, it becomes more difficult to try to prepare for that team because they're adding in pieces that don't typically play together. So it's hard to figure out how do we defend this, because I actually think that the bench unit benefits Donovan Mitchell in the fact that like he likes to drive to the basket and he wasn't hitting any of his shots, his outside shots. So he was just driving to the basket, but he was kicking out to these wide open 3-point shooters. And then once the Pacers started to kind of extend too much defensively, Jared Allen would get inside and they would play this alley-oop ball where, I mean, you're just lobbing the ball to Jared Allen, let Jared Allen decide what he's going to do with it. And he was breaking down the defense. So the Pacers just were having a very difficult time figuring out how to adjust and how to defend this unit together. And I think that's what really put them on their back foot. And they never really recovered, but slowly chipped away and slowly chipped away and slowly chipped away. But every time they would chip away, the Cavs would get further and further back. So it was like, okay, the Pacers are just going to get into this 8-10 range. They're never going to make that big move. It just felt that way. Even into the fourth quarter, it just felt like, I mean, the Pacers are going to lose by 8-10 here. That's just the way that it's going. The Cavs got hot. The Cavs had the fans behind them. And throughout the game, I thought they were actually pretty quiet. I mean, there were moments where they had a high energy, but I feel like those were only on Donovan Mitchell and Max Strus 3-pointers. They weren't really that rambunctious because I think that they were even put down by all these injuries that the Cavs have gone through. You know, that you have such a great season, you win 64 games, you've only lost 7 games at home. I mean, these fans aren't used to the away team coming in, especially twice in a row, and beating this Cav team at home. So I think that was part of it. Obviously the cloud of having those 3 players out, where the Cavs, I mean, legitimately, the Cavs had a chance to contend for a title had all these guys stayed healthy. The Pacers would have had a very difficult road to try to knock them out. I still believed, even healthy, I felt like the Pacers still had the advantage and could take care of the Cavs. It was going to be a good series, but I did feel like the Pacers, and my prediction was the Pacers in 6. I just felt confident. I don't know what it is about this matchup, but I think they cause a lot more problems for Cleveland, where Cleveland has one big problem, and if you can try to keep that at bay, you might have a chance. I didn't feel like the 3-point shooting was necessarily going to hold up at that high of a rate as it did when they shot in the regular season. I felt like there would be at least some regression there, because teams typically do regress a little bit in shooting the 3-pointer in a playoff game. There's just more focus defensively. There's more of a game plan to try to get the shooters off the arc. And it happened. I mean, the Pacers have been pretty good up until tonight, keeping the Cavs at bay. And even early, the Cavs were missing shots. It wasn't like it was right away where the Cavs were burying threes. It took a bit for them to get going. And if you look at their 3-point percentage, they still shot 11 of 39. That's 28% from 3-point land. That is not up to par with what they typically shoot. I mean, this team is a 38, 39, 40% 3-point shooting team. And in the regular season, they shot that way. But again, as bad as the Pacers were, Pacers matched their 11. They hit 11 threes as well. They didn't take that many. They took 28. The Pacers shot 39%. From the field, Pacers shot 51.8%. The Cavs only shot 43%. So, it's wild to me that the Pacers were able to pull this off in the fashion in which they did so. Because throughout the game, really, if you take all the stats, they were pretty even all the way across the board. The advantages come from free throws, because Donovan Mitchell shot 21 free throws. He hit 17 of those. They shot 35 free throws and hit 30 of them as a team. So, the Cavs had 30 points off of free throw attempts, because they just couldn't find a way to keep Donovan Mitchell out of the paint, and it destroyed them. I mean, the Pacers were getting absolutely eaten alive by Donovan Mitchell. 48 points. He was 15 of 30 from the field. I mean, putting up 30 shots is insane. You don't see most people do that. And the fact that he has to, I mean, he really does have to, especially with this lineup. He had to put up 30 shots to even stay close to these Pacers. And the Pacers weren't even playing well. So you take a lot of positives out of this. If you're a Pacers fan, I still think the negatives you can look at and say, we can get better there. We're not going to turn the ball over this many times. Again, like 17 again, like, come on, twice in a row. That doesn't typically happen with this Pacer team. It's very uncharacteristic. And I don't want to point fingers at who to blame for turnovers, but it was because they took the ball out of Tyrese. Tyrese didn't have a single turnover tonight. Not one. The issue is they weren't letting Tyrese get the ball. And this is where the Pacers are going to have to try to figure this out, because this is what teams have to do to stop Tyrese Haliburton. They keep the ball out of his hand by pressuring him full court and making sure that they just don't inbound the ball to him. So then it takes at least 4 or 5 seconds to at least get him back towards the top to get the ball back from an Andrew Nembhard or Siakam or whoever it is that's bringing the ball up the court. So you're already running 4 seconds, and then you get deeper in the shot clock, and that's not what the Pacers want. So if you're going to take the Pacers out of their rhythm, if you're going to stop their pace, it has to be at the expense of defending Tyrese Haliburton, 90 some feet, right? So again, I thought the Cavs executed very well. If you look at their defense, and Greg Anthony was great at pointing this out. I think Greg Anthony's great on these games. I hope we get more of him. I know TNT's fading, which they should. Their mics have, I think what happened is they have all these mics and they're all, I mean, the sound quality on this game was, it's awful. Like people screaming in the mics and stuff. My wife one time goes, "What was that?" And I was like, it was somebody screaming, but it like blew out their mic. I don't know what, like if they're cheap microphones or what, like it just, they're horrible. And I think it's just TNT's, they don't have anything to broadcast really after the NBA leaves TNT. So they're just using old mics that they've had sitting around. They're just trying to burn through them before they sell off the NBA. So again, I back to what I was saying though, Greg Anthony was making the point of this Cavs team was defending the point of attack at every turn. I mean, every time a Pacer player got it and tried to attack that defender, there was somebody there and they were basically baiting them in to taking a 3-point shot, inviting them to try to drive, and they just couldn't get by them. I mean, Andrew Nembhard was stopped many times. Nesmith, I mean, Turner even tried to dribble at some points because he got desperate because nobody was getting open. So, there was a lot of standing around, and when the Pacers go stagnant, that's when they struggle. And, I think part of that is because they don't have somebody that really is going to just take over a game. I think that's still something that they need. You can be a great passing team. You can get a lot of open shots by having a lot of assists. The Pacers' goal always seems to be that 30 mark with assists, and they're very good. That record is very good when they can get 30 assists. Tonight they had 28. But they're a team that relies heavily, and this is another point that Greg Anthony made, which is great. I mean, you can tell Greg Anthony does his homework on the teams that he is calling for, because he was talking about the Pacers are a system offense, whereas the Cavs are more Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, isolating, doing some ISO and then hitting open threes and big screens off of their big post guys and getting the post guys involved and having Jared Allen and Evan Mobley dish from the elbow, hit their 3-pointers, hit their 3-point shooters. It just, the Pacers just couldn't figure out a way to get into the paint, and Tyrese Haliburton was taken out of the offense. And then when he goes down with the wrist injury, which was scary, I thought he broke it. And he might have. They haven't said. I'll be checking X here too. So I'll be kind of flipping back and forth. And this is just more of me spewing my thoughts right away, just because I'll forget them all tomorrow that I want to make. But I mean, just right now, my first reaction is Tyrese did look a little bit more tentative when he did hurt his wrist, but then there were moments where he, like in the end of the game, he just took over, and I was like, okay, he seems fine to an extent where I think it's a sprained wrist. I don't really know what happened. I think he kind of jammed it up into one of the defenders, but it didn't. I think if they thought it was broken or anything was broken, they wouldn't have let him play. So the fact that he came out and did play, that gives me some confidence going forward that maybe he just sprained it. And that's something, and it was his left hand. So it's not the end of the world if he sprained it. Obviously shooting or spraining a shooting hand would be more difficult. But I think because of the way he plays, he's very right dominant anyway. So I'm not too concerned about the injury, but I did feel like he was very hesitant at first when he heard it, because he was not sure exactly what was going on. And I think that's the way you would be normally in a game, right? If you got hurt and you were waiting on the results of your x-ray and you were still trying to play through it, like, did I really do something wrong to this hand? Am I going to be able to continue playing? But the more that the game went on and the more that he started to attack and even landed on it a couple times, and there was one time where he kind of stayed down longer grabbing it, like, oh, that hurt. But I think it's just going to be more of a comfort thing at this point. He was wearing a wrap around his wrist, which is difficult to play with. If you've ever tried to play basketball with a wrap on, it can be difficult to play with, just because it's something weird, like a foreign substance on your hand. So like in the part where you would dribble, that's where it would feel most, I guess that's where it would feel different and probably most affect somebody. So there's some concern there, but I do think if it was something they were thinking would be an injury that could hurt him in the long run, that they would have pulled him out of the game. So those are my thoughts on just Tyrese. But the reason why I was talking about Ty and that, sorry, I get long-winded and then I forget what I'm talking about. And when I don't have notes, it's hard to get back on track. But when Tyrese did hurt his wrist, I did, and you did see him get more hesitant with driving to the lane. But I think that was the Pacers' problem. They just couldn't get inside the paint to break down the Cavs defense. So the Cavs just, sorry, my cat's going crazy back here. But hold on one second. I'm gonna let her out. And we're back. But yeah, no, I think the Pacers had a hard time attacking the paint, breaking down the Cavs defense. The screen and pick actions weren't really working. And I think that, that really got into the Pacers' head, and why the offense at times looked, pedestrian at best. So it was something that I was monitoring the whole game, was just how good defensively the Cavs were. And it created a problem. And I think in game 3, they're going to have to address that. Like, how do they get Nembhard, I guess, more involved in, getting to the lane or getting the ball to Tyrese so he can start the offense. I think there's ways that you can mitigate that pressure full court. I think a lot of that's just going to have to be those really high screens that are, guys are screening in the backcourt when you've got like Pascal or Miles, and that's not ideal, but at least to start, you kind of do that a couple times and they'll back off on that pressure, just because it can cause defensive issues if you are screening guys and they're getting lost behind defenders in the backcourt, and you've got somebody athletic like Pascal that can start running downhill, and then you're running a 4-on-4 or a 4-on-3 or something like that, like an advantage for the Pacers. But yeah, I think that was a big game adjustment for Kenny Atkinson. I thought that was brilliant to be able to take Tyrese out, and we talked about that way back in the playoff previews with the Bucks. I wasn't as worried with the Cavs, just because the Cavs don't really have anybody that I thought could really handle Tyrese full court for that long. But I mean, Max Strus, give kudos and credit to Max, because I thought he defended Tyrese very well tonight, and he really impacted this game. He didn't really let Tyrese get involved in the actions and really get this team going. That being said, Tyrese came alive in the fourth quarter. Ty ended with 7 field goals, 2 of 2 from 3, 3 of 5 from the free throw line, and he ended with 19 points. He really was pretty quiet throughout the whole game. So if you go back and look at per quarter, what did that look like? So let me pull up the stats here, and then we'll kind of talk about the next points that I want to make. But if you go back to the first couple of quarters, I mean, Tyrese was not really involved much at all. There were times where it didn't even feel like he was on the court, because of how well they were defending him and not let him get involved in the offense. And I thought that was a big game changer for the Cavs. So if you go back to quarter 1, here are the stats for Ty. He had 1 field goal and he made it. So he had 2 points in the first quarter. He just wasn't involved. I mean, they took him completely out. He had no assist. He did have 2 rebounds, defensive rebounds, but he was a non-factor in quarter 1. Go over to the second quarter. He was better in the second quarter, and the Pacers were better in the second quarter. And it's funny because you can look at when the Pacers were good, it was usually when Tyrese is doing what he needs to do offensively. And when it's not going as well, Tyrese is usually not on the floor. It's just been that way, and that's how good he is. And I think that's where you can point to just how underrated I think Tyrese is, because of how much he makes this offense move. He had 1 3-pointer in those 3 field goal attempts. He ended the second quarter. Well, in the second quarter, he had 6 points. So that brings him up to 8 points in total. And then if you go over to the third quarter, Tyrese Haliburton, 0 field goals attempted. This is when he kind of looked out of it. They'd really taken him out of the game as far as like the defense. He played almost 7 minutes, 6:59. He didn't have any field goal attempts. He just looked like he was not into it. He wasn't as engaged. This was when the Pacers would get back within 7 or 8, and then the Cavs had a 20-point lead, and it just felt like the Pacers were just inevitably going to lose this game. It was a back and forth affair in the third quarter, and they just never really got close to him. I think the 8-point deficit was the closest they ever got to them in the third, but they quickly fixed that, and the Cavs went back up by like 14 or 15, something like that. And it just felt like that was the way the game was going to go all night, and maybe the Pacers could get it back down to 8 points or so at the end of the game, but that they did even better than that. In the fourth quarter, so if you look at the fourth quarter, Tyrese Haliburton, 4 of 7 from the field, 1 of 1 for the three-point line, which was that game winner. And then he had 2 of 3 from the free throw line, which the missed free throw ended up being the game winner. He got the rebound off of his own miss and ends up hitting the three-pointer that wins them the game. He had 11 points in that fourth quarter. He looked totally different in the fourth. I mean, he played 12 minutes. He defended really well. He had a really good block. I think it was on Sam Merrill, I believe it was, at the end of the game. Once again, playing really well defensively. I thought he D'd up Donovan Mitchell pretty well. He got to Sam Merrill a couple times. I thought Ty really changed the game, not only offensively, but defensively again. Just the attention, the leadership that he has, and the guys just kind of follow, right? They'll follow suit right behind him if he's performing at a high level. And in the fourth quarter, he turned into a whole different person and took that game over completely. And once again, put the Pacers on his back and saved the day in a very clutch way. I mean, this guy is unbelievable in the crunch time when you need him the most. He's starting to really thrive and understand that's his time. And that's the next step, I think, for him. I think the next step for him is when they're in these close games, that's time for him. He's got to get to the rim. He's got to hit some threes. And if he's not going to hit some threes, if he's going to get guys open, like that's when Ty is at his best, when he is attacking, when he is engaged, when he's trying to get to the rim. That's when the openings happen. That's when he becomes very, very difficult to try to guard because he can shoot, he can pass, he can take you, one-on-one. He can also dish when he needs to on the pick and roll, pick and fade, whatever it might be. I mean, he's such a complex guard because he just does everything, and his size allows him to see things that a smaller guard might not be able to see or get to or get away with. So you saw Tyrese Haliburton become that guy tonight, and I believe, I mean, now he's had 2 games where he's just been that guy. He closes out the Bucks in Game 5 with that clutch layup. He now delivers a very definitive punch to the Cavs. I mean, I'm talking like this punch will absolutely destroy, I think, anybody that is involved with the Cavs. I mean, it is so difficult to have to come back from that when you had a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, heading into the fourth quarter, and you blow it. I mean, they absolutely choked it away. It just, once things started to unfold, it was like, okay, it's starting to happen again. It's starting to happen again. And then once Donovan Mitchell elbowed Nesmith, I thought they were going to get a flagrant. So I really thought that was going to change the momentum, like in the way that like that was going to let the Pacers win that game. But even after they said it was just a common foul, I was like, I think the Pacers might be able to do this. I have no doubt that the Pacers can come back from very difficult situations because they've done it before. I was like, they could do it. I mean, why not? Right? Why not us? And they did it. It was, it's still, I mean, it's 30 minutes after the game or so, 35 minutes after the game. And I'm speechless. I just, it's so hard to wrap my head around what just happened. Like, I know they've done this multiple times throughout the season, so it shouldn't really be a shock to me. But just the fact that like this team is relentless. They just don't go away, and they will continue to fight. That was one of their worst playoff performances, I mean, over the last 2 years, and they still won. One of the worst performances they had was against the Bucks too, and they still won. I mean, you're to this point where like even when they play poorly, this Pacer team can beat anybody any day, anytime. And, that's a lot of confidence. And I don't want to get too cocky. I want to be confident, right? And I think that's what they always say about the guys on the team is they're not cocky. They're confident. You just see it oozing out of it. I mean, they had no business being in this game. Like, it's almost frustrating that they did win this game because they didn't deserve to win this game, but they won this game because in the fourth quarter, they were the best team. You could tell they were the better team. You could tell no matter who was playing, they were going to win this game. It just felt that way as time started to crunch down in the fourth quarter. You saw them making plays and the Cavs didn't. So it just, and people are like, well, they didn't have it the whole fourth. I mean, that fourth quarter, everybody played 12 minutes pretty much, except for, well, not everybody, half of them played 12 minutes. Nembhard, Turner, and Haliburton played 12 minutes. Pascal ended up coming out of the game, and Bennedict Mathurin ended up playing some very important minutes and got some very important buckets. And I was frustrated with Ben some in this game, but he did so many things right towards the end. And he really changed. I mean, he kept the Pacers in the game, and then he changed the game at the end too. He and Aaron Nesmith. So, I mean, just kudos to all the guys for that fourth quarter. It was a fourth quarter I will not soon forget. It is a very unforgettable game and should have been very forgettable just because of the way they played throughout the whole game. But I guess it's how you end it. I guess it's how you end it. So what did they do to win? Right? That's next up on my rundown. I think it was just staying in it as much as possible, even though everything was going against them. I mean, it really did feel like Donovan Mitchell it was on a different planet tonight. I mean, 48 points. When a guy drops 48 points, you don't typically lose that game. Max Strus was hitting his 3-pointers. I thought he was really good in this game. And I mean, really changed it, not only offensively, but I thought defensively too. He did only shoot 44%, which is good. It's not great. He was 8 of 18. Where he killed the Pacers, though, was from three. He was 5 of 12 for 41% from three. He had 23 points. And then Jarrett Allen was fantastic in this game. I think Jarrett Allen probably played the best game I'd ever seen him play live. I don't really watch a whole ton of Cavs, obviously, but I mean, Jarrett Allen looked like a man on a mission to help Donovan Mitchell try to win this game. But other than that, I mean, pretty forgettable game. I mean, Sam Merrill had a couple big shots, but again, he's not really somebody that's gonna score 20 points. He had 14 tonight, but I mean, that's really where that's probably one of the better games that he'll have. And he did a nice job when he did get playing time. He came out of the starting lineup, and Dean Wade was in the starting lineup tonight with Ty Jerome. And Dean Wade, I thought, was really good defensively. I thought rebounding the basketball, he was a big thorn in the Pacers side. He had 3 offensive rebounds. Strus had 5. I mean, it felt like he and Strus were flying at the rim, and the Pacers had no answers on how to stop somebody doing that. Like, the Pacers look so uninterested in rebounding the basketball, and they look so bad at times offensively because, like I said, I mean, they just had no business winning this game. Yet they did it. They are resilient. They are them. So, I mean, what did the Pacers do to win it? The fourth quarter, that's what they did. They got good performances from Bennedict Mathurin, who had 19 points. They got a really good game from Aaron Nesmith, probably one of his best games. Miles Turner was really good. He just had a couple of shots that I was frustrated with because he didn't make them, and it would have gotten the Pacers even closer and in reach. But, I mean, he had a good game. He had 2 threes. He was 40% from 3, 47% from the field, 8 for 17. He had 23 points. He was a 15, plus 15, plus minus. So he was their best player, plus minus. Tyrese Haliburton, he had 9 boards. I mean, you don't see Ty get a whole lot of rebounds, but my goodness, did he clean up the glass, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, I thought he really was a difference maker on the defensive rebound, in the defensive rebound category. He grabbed a couple boards there at the end of the game that were crucial, including that last one that he missed his own free throw shot, and he got it, which was just really bad. I mean, the Cavs box out game on the free throw. I mean, Aaron Nesmith, that was another big game change. Like, Aaron Nesmith makes, and I think that's what we all get caught up in, what Andrew Nembhard can do defensively and how he can change games. We get caught up in what Tyrese Haliburton can do and his effectiveness. And then Pascal Siakam is just that guy, and pretty much just a constant all-star. You forget that Aaron Nesmith, I think he's the one that kind of gets left out and doesn't get talked about too much. but he changed this game. Defensively, he switched over on to Donovan Mitchell, and Mitchell had a harder time with him just because I think Mitchell was tired. But Nesmith is a lot stronger, I think, than Andrew Nembhard. I mean, Nembhard's a strong guy, but Nesmith's like a rock. And he's done this a couple times. When he does not foul, I actually think he's a better defender because he's so much bigger than Andrew Nembhard. And I'm by that I mean strength wise, and he's quick. I mean, he's deceptively quick. And so he's a very difficult person to try to get around. And Mitchell did struggle with him at times. Nesmith had 3 blocks. He had 1 steal. He had the 2 of the biggest plays in the game. One was the Pascal Siakam missed 2 free throws, and he comes flying in on the second missed free throw from behind the free throw shooter. So he was out past the arc. He's one of the 2 behind the arc, which those guys don't typically go in and get rebounds. Sometimes they'll go in and try to box out the shooter, but you don't typically see that guy get. He went up, and they didn't even box him out like Donovan Mitchell. It was Donovan Mitchell's fault. He lets him get too far ahead of him, and he tried to grab him instead of like trying to like shoulder him off. He tries to like reach out and grab him because you could tell Donovan Mitchell was just gassed, but he tries to reach out and like grab his jersey, and he didn't get a hold of him to try to foul him. And Donovan Mitchell loses him, and Nesmith just goes up off the miss and just throws it down on the putback. And you don't ever see that. Like it's very rare to see somebody come flying in like that on a free throw and get to the rim and actually dunk a putback off a free throw from the behind the free throw shooter. It was incredibly athletic. And then he D'd up Donovan Mitchell full court for a couple possessions. And then he was also instrumental in the fact that like the Cavs just could not inbound the basketball. And that I will say, when you're missing players, especially a ball handler like Darius Garland, or even a big target like Evan Mobley, it becomes more difficult, especially when you've got rotation players playing, to inbound a basketball in those high intensity situations at the end of games, because you start to overthink it. Because when you're inbounding the basketball, or you're trying to get free to get to a position where you can get the ball from the person inbounding it, you start to overthink it. And you really, all you have to do is take a big burst of speed in one direction or the other, and you can typically get away from somebody unless they're super quick and into it. So you just start to overthink it. You start to do a lot of screens, and then you get all like where you're running into each other and you don't know where to go, and you're trying to get to an open corner, and then you're panicking and the inbounder's panicking, and you just a lot going on, right? So when you've got rotational players at the end of games playing instead of your normal starters who run through these types of plays all the time, it becomes very difficult for you to try to inbound the basketball. And Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard are great defenders, and Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner are good defenders in these kinds of situations because the bigs aren't really breaking free from them. So it was just a perfect storm. And the Pacers, I mean, there were probably 4 times where the Cavs at the end of this game, they had to call 2 timeouts, and then they ran out of timeouts, and they throw one, and Andrew Nembhard comes up with a huge steal, who had been really bad all night, but Nembhard probably had one of the biggest steals of the game. He comes up on that inbound where they didn't have any timeouts. They couldn't inbound the ball. They tried to like lob it over to Jarrett Allen, and they didn't see Nembhard coming from the backside, and he just took it from him. So it was chaotic, but the Pacers made big plays. If I had to say what did they do to win it, they made big plays at the end that the Cavs didn't, and the Cavs just shrunk. They just choked it away. They didn't look like the experienced team. The Pacers looked like the far more experienced team who were just determined that we're not going to lose this game. We're going to take it. You let us back into it, we're going to steal it. So they did. They went in, they took it. And again, that's mind-boggling saying that because of how bad this game I thought it was. Next thing on my rundown, Cavs ran out of steam. I mean, you saw it, right? The rotational players, when you've got guys like Dean Wade and Ty Jerome playing in the fourth quarter in those high-intensity moments in more minutes than they would typically play with a healthy roster, they just look gassed. And Donovan Mitchell looked completely wiped. I mean, there was one point, I think it was the inbound in which the Pacers stole it. Mitchell had his head like on Nesmith, And he was just kind of like, I can't move. Like I can't run. Like there's no use. I've got no legs. And I think there was actually a point where they took Donovan Mitchell out. I think it was the Pascal Siakam. I think it was the Siakam. No, because he was on that. It was one of those end of the game free throws, or like maybe the Pacers had it. I think no. The Pacers had it out of bounds. That's what it was. And Donovan Mitchell was out for a defensive possession because he was just gassed. Like he couldn't keep up with anybody because his legs were just gone. And he's dealing with a calf injury, which wasn't really reported by the Cavs as much, but it's something you could see it at the end. There was one point, I think it was when he got up after Nesmith had dunked it on that putback. You could see him limping towards the sideline, but he just got beat up. I mean, this has been a real physical series, but I would say the Pacers were way more physical the last two games than the Cavs. And I think that was a big difference too at the end of the game. The Pacers were way more physical in the fourth. So they just took it from them. They were like, nope, we are here. Yeah, we didn't play well, but you let us back into it and we're just going to take the game from you now. And they did. Like it was an unbelievable performance. I just cannot get over this performance by the Pacers in the fourth. But yeah, Cavs ran out of steam. Just, when shooters can't hit shots, when you've got a guy that scored 48 that's poured his blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, my goodness, is he a good player? He's just so difficult to stop. I wish the Pacers had somebody like him. He's a freak. I mean, he just does everything, and he's such a good guy. Like and this was great. This was a good moment. If you guys didn't see this, go back and look up. Just look up Donovan Mitchell, Haliburton overrated, and I'm sure it'll pop up on Twitter. But there's a point where Haliburton was at the line, and the Cavs fans started the overrated, and Donovan Mitchell's like, I think two things. He was like, no, like calm down. He was doing like the calm down signal to them, like, no, stop, like we're not doing that. I think one, Donovan Mitchell's a very classy guy, and he and Tyrese are pretty close. But Donovan Mitchell is he's a good guy. Like he really is. And I usually watch every series that I've watched with the Pacers. I usually like, but the Celtics and the Cavs, they just do it right. I mean, I like their players. I respect their players. Yeah, you want to beat them, but you don't want them hurt. You don't want them, and I don't ever want anybody hurt, but like, you know what I mean? You don't want to see the Cavs have to go through what they're going through right now. It's just not fair to any fan base. We've been there as Pacer fans, Danny Granger, Paul George, Tyrese Haliburton. The list goes on and on with them, right? Jonathan Bender. Like it just goes on and on with unfortunate injuries that derail potentially career seasons for guys. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, just a good guy. 48 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. He was spectacular. Still hasn't found his three. He hit one big three. But other than that, I mean, he just looks like he's got no confidence shooting from outside the arc. But other than that, I mean, he's getting to the basket at will. I mean, the guy could easily have 60 points at this point. And it was kind of like Giannis. And there was nothing the Pacers could do or were doing that was going to stop them. I will say the whistle did get a little bit tighter there in the third and fourth quarter. I felt he was getting some calls that weren't necessarily fouls, I don't think. But, in the intensity and high pace in which they play and the speed in which the game was going, I don't really blame the refs. But there were a couple calls that I thought he got that were just because of how recklessly he goes into. I mean, that's one thing that would scare me as a fan. Although he's not really ever been seriously hurt or something like that going into the stand. But man, he hits the stanchion a lot. He hits the back of that stanchion and the goal way too much for my comfort. I'd be like, oh my gosh, please don't hurt yourself. Because there were times where I was like, oh my gosh, he just hurt himself. And he'd get back up. I'm like, how did he get back up from that? Like, that looked like he got crushed. So he's tough, man. I really like him. I've grown a whole new respect for Donovan Mitchell in this series just because of just his tenacity and his will to try to win these games when these Cavs are just depleted at this point. And I mean, he did everything to try to win this game tonight, and they fell short. And it wasn't because of him. I mean, he really just wasn't involved in those last couple of plays because he was gassed. But the guy is just, I mean, look at this, plus 13. The next closest one was a plus 5, and that was Dean Wade. I mean, most of their players had, a very low plus minus or even negative. Like 3 of their starters had negative plus minus. Jerome and Allen had a -5, and Strus had a -14. So as good as Strus was, they did lose the minutes where he played. But really, it was that last stretch, man, that fourth quarter, the Pacers just ate them up and looked like a totally different team in the fourth. But it was because they shortened that rotation, and that's the first time I'd ever seen Rick go with 3 starters straight 12. I mean, without question. And then I would say had Nembhard, had Pascal not gotten as tired, he would have gone more. But he ended up playing the least amount of minutes of the starters. He didn't even get to 30 minutes. And Pascal looks gassed. I mean, he's looked gassed since the start of the second half of the season, which that'll be another show. We'll talk about Pascal, but he was okay tonight. Like, he didn't do anything crazy. Like, he didn't hit any threes. He didn't take any threes. He was 5 of 8, which is fine. But, I think some part of it is Aaron Nesmith has taken a step, and Andrew Nembhard has taken a step, and Miles played well tonight. So that obviously that's going to limit the amount of touches that Pascal had. But there's now times where Pascal's just not in the flow of it, and he's actually better when he's with the bench unit than he is with the starters at times. So it'll be a conversation that we'll have to have in the next preview, because I think there's some things that they need to do to get Pascal more involved. But I've also got some concerns there because he just wasn't as efficient in the second half of the season. I'm just worried he's tired. He's older. He's tired. I just feel like he's just not 100% and hasn't been for a while. So we'll talk about that some. But again, veteran player who he was consistent, missed 2 huge free throws, but luckily Aaron Nesmith saved the day. But Pascal has a tendency to do that sometimes too, where he misses big free throws, and he'll miss free throws. But he had been better throughout the postseason, but I didn't think it was one of his best games at all. Where else can I go? Aaron Nesmith. I mean, there's not much more to say except for the fact that the guy he's just like Andrew Nembhard. They have ice in their veins. I mean, these guys are not afraid of anything. Aaron Nesmith isn't afraid of anything, anybody. He'd run through a wall. There's times where when Nembhard's not going well, you can tell. But Aaron Nesmith goes at life like it's his last day. I mean, Tyrese summed it up perfectly. I think it was in the Bucks series where he said Aaron Nesmith would literally die for this game. Like, he would die on the court if he needed to. It tells you how nails he is. I mean, he's so tough, and he really showed it tonight. Like, tonight was probably his best game in a Pacer uniform. He was just unbelievable tonight, and he changed that game. They win that game because of Aaron Nesmith and Tyrese Haliburton. So 2 incredible performances from guys that have been our 2 best players since the All-Star break. Let's not forget Aaron Nesmith has been their 2nd best player since the All-Star break. He's just been on a whole different level. And we'll talk a little bit about Andrew Nembhard now, because I feel like it fits here. He just was not good. This was, again, one of his worst performances, I think, as a Pacer, especially in the postseason. He was 5 of 13, so he only shot 38%. They were basically baiting him into shooting, and he just did not shoot it well. He was over 4 from 3, and I think all 4 of those were pretty wide open. If not, like, there was nobody around on those 3-pointers that he missed. So he wasn't good there. He missed 2 free throws, which were pretty big free throws. He did have 13 assists. So in the fourth quarter, he did distribute quite a bit. And I thought he was good in that sense. But he also had 8 turnovers. I mean, it was really just the first 3 quarters. He was awful. I mean, it felt like it was like, man, he's just going to turn the ball every time he touches it. And that's the problem. Like, he is a very good secondary ball handler, but I don't think he was quite ready to be the ball handler in this game, because they completely erased Tyrese the first 3 quarters. I felt like Tyrese was just a non-factor in most of the game. So, and that was all defensive assignment, which was fine because Andrew Nembhard can usually handle that, and then it opens up Tyrese some. But because Andrew Nembhard, they were willing to let him try to maestro this offense. He was not doing a very good job of it at first, and he had lots of turnovers. I mean, again, it's tough because you look at that 13 assists, that's incredible. But the 8 turnovers, they really were costly turnovers. I mean, the Cavs were capitalizing on points off of turnovers in this game, where before they hadn't really been capitalizing as much. But I mean, points off turnovers, they had to have at least 20 something. I don't have it pulled up, and I can't really find where I can get it real quick, those numbers. But yeah, I mean, the Pacers really needed help with getting the offense going. And Andrew Nembhard is good, but he's not Tyrese Haliburton. So it's tough. It's a tough ask for a guy that is not your primary ball handler who's done it all season to go in and say, hey, we need you to be the primary ball handler for this game because they've come in and they've taken Tyrese completely out of it. So no, part of it on Andrew, but most of it's not. Drew is a competitor. He'll come back better the next game. He'll be really good the next game, I imagine. So I've got a lot of confidence in that. But yeah, just a complete game, I would say, for Aaron Nesmith. He was really crucial in keeping them in this game, as was Bennedict Mathurin. Bennedict Mathurin, 19 points. And when the offense wasn't doing anything in the first half, in the third quarter, he was the reason the Pacers hung around. If he's not in the game doing what he's doing, they probably get beat by 20. He was just that good tonight. Bennedict was, which, he started pretty slow, but once he got in with that set, once he started playing with that second unit where he was just like, I'm just going to take over. That's when he started. And that's what he needs to do. I feel like that needs to be when that offense is not going well with that second unit, he needs to look at himself and say, I'm the scorer. I'm going to go get mine, because he's just been, I mean, I wouldn't say out of sync, but he's just not really found a way to fit into this offense. I think tonight he got the confidence that he needed to going forward in this playoff game. That's a big night from Ben. And to defend, he defended pretty well. He lost a couple of guys on offensive rebounds, but for the most part, I thought he defended pretty well tonight. But yeah, there were points tonight where I was just like, that's the Bennedict we need. We need I'm going to take it to their basket and watch me go. And he did it a couple of times where I was like, oh my gosh. And I saw like a cool graphic that was going around that he's becoming one of the best at finishing and taking guys off the dribble. Like in the league, he's increased that much. And I'm talking about guys that are starters in this league where he's a better finisher, better getting to the basket and making things count, more efficient than some of the top guys in this league. So he's got the ability. They know he's got the ability. I hope Rick can take that and say, when this offense is kind of sputtering, when the ball's not moving as much, I want to give you some free reign to be able to, because he creates well. And then he's gotten a lot better at finding guys that are open. He's passed the ball really well. I'm to the point where you give Ben Mathurin the keys to that offense when that bench unit's in with Pascal, and then it's Pascal, Obi, Ben, TJ, and a combination of Shep and Walk. I think you just give the keys to Ben and say, do it, see what you got. So yeah, I'm almost there. I'm to that point where it's just like, maybe the bench unit doesn't have to quite be like the starters because they've got different personnel. So I think that's an adjustment that Rick and them can make to unleash Ben some. Let him do a couple things. Let him have a couple possessions where you just go, let's do it. See what you got. Take it to the rack. Take that guy ISO. Let's see what happens. Shot 6 of 10 tonight. 1 of 3 from the 3. 6 of 6 from the free throw line. He's a clutch shooter. So big night from Ben. Big. That was really nice to see because he really needed something like that. Last but not least, what does it do for game 3? So I want to talk about this fourth quarter and the way that it ended to launch us in to how we're going to talk about game 3. So again, tonight, just really bad for 3 quarters, I thought, in totality. I just thought you had minutes together. The Pacers were bad for 3 quarters tonight. You take some of those minutes. Because I didn't think they were excellent to start the fourth, but once they started to inch back into the game, it's like that flip or that switch flipped, and they became a completely different team, the team that we had seen all season. So let's go through and talk about how this game ended, because I think this is what's going to carry over into game 3. And this is why the Pacers win this game. And this is why I think the Pacers have a good shot at at sweeping this Cavs team right out of the playoffs, which is incredible to say. But we'll get to that because now my whole thoughts on this series have changed, and it really depends on the health of the Cavs if I think the Pacers might be able to sweep it. But let's go to, so I'm looking at the play-by-play right now on ESPN. I guess this is the moment here. Yeah. So like right around the 9:30 mark, that's when you started to see a shift. Well, I guess you could go even further back to the Miles Turner layup. So he makes a layup to make it 87-98. Pacers trail by 11. And then the Cavs start to miss some shots. Sam Merrill misses a 23-foot jump. See, this is where I think it turned. This is where it started to turn over. So 9:47 left. Sam Merrill misses it. Ty Jerome gets an offensive rebound, and I'm thinking, crap, like they really need to get this down with under 10 as soon as they can, because it's going to be an uphill battle because Donovan Mitchell is just not going to stop scoring. So they've got to start getting to a point where they have to get it. When it was the 5-minute mark, I mean, you got to have it down by 6 to 8 points. Like that deficit needs to be down to like 8 to 6 points. So at 9:45, Ty Jerome gets an offensive rebound, and I thought, you know what, this is the night. And Sam Merrill steps up into a wide open three, and somehow Tyrese he had gone kind of like into their bench area and come back out, and Sam didn't see him behind him. And this is twice now in this series where a big block from behind has changed the game, when Nesmith did it yesterday on Sunday. But Ty comes back inbounds and blocks it from behind. And from that point on, I felt that's where it really started to change. The momentum started to shift, because then Bennedict Mathurin hits a 2-point shot. Cavs call a timeout. Next scoring play, Jared Allen makes a dunk, 100-89. So the Pacers back down by 11. And then Tyrese hits a 2-point shot to answer. So then they're back within 9. Tyrese Haliburton is fouled on that shot. Gets the and one. He makes that one. It's 100-92. Donovan Mitchell misses a 3 with 8:06 left. Pacers get it back. Mathurin makes the dunk, 100-94. Cavs lead. Go all the way to the 7:12 mark. Donovan Mitchell is fouled, misses the first one, makes the second. Now he's up by 7. Cavs up by 7. Bennedict Mathurin makes a layup. That pulls them back within 5. Bennedict Mathurin they get a delay of game technical foul. The Pacers do. I don't really know where it came from. They pointed to the bench. I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know who did it. I don't think Mathurin was the one that did it, maybe, but he kind of like steps in the ref's way. But they call a technical foul. I don't really know what they called it on, but it was a delay of game technical because it was their second delay of game. Donovan Mitchell makes the technical, go up by 6. Then he gets another 2 shots because Andrew Nembhard fouls him, and they're in the bonus. So I think they're in the bonus in that point. Well, either way, they make 2 free throws. It's 104-96. And then with 6:16, Nesmith makes that dunk off of he makes a tip shot off of, it was an offensive board. Andrew Nembhard pulls up, misses the 3, but it lands on the far side of the rim, hits off the far side of the rim, and Aaron Nesmith gets it on a putback and makes it a 6-point game again. Then you go all the way down to the 4-minute and 48 mark, and Mitchell makes another driving layup to answer right back 12 seconds later. Andrew Nembhard makes a layup to make it 106-100. And then Nembhard is fouled on that one as well. So he gets the and one. It's 106-101. 4:21 left. Max Strus makes a 7-point jump shot, 2-point jump shot, and it's 108-101. And then Turner makes a nice layup. It was a great layup. He took it left-handed, went over, I think it was Jared Allen, and scored. It was 2 guys that tried to come and get him. And this is after he'd missed a couple of easy bunny shots. I mean, some chip shots that Miles missed 2 of them. He missed a 2-point shot and then missed a turnaround. Within 7 seconds, he missed 2 shots. And that was brutal because they were really easy shots. He just hurried them. Well, then he didn't hurry this one. He makes the left-hand layup. It's 108-103. And then 3:45 left. Nemhard fouls Okoro. Okoro makes 2 free throws. It's 110-103. Nesmith then hits a 3 to make it a 4-point game again. Mitchell makes another driving floater layup, 112-106. So then, it's kind of this back and forth of 6 to 7 points. Well, we'll kind of fast forward it because it's just a whole lot of back and forth. We get all the way down to the 138 mark. Donovan Mitchell makes the free throw off of a Nesmith foul. And then it's that second one he misses. And Donovan Mitchell's missed quite a few free throws that were important in this one. But he misses it, and the Pacers are still down by 6. Fast forward to 124. Tyrese Haliburton makes driving layup, 114-110. And then 106 left. Max Strus makes a three-pointer. It's 117-110. And it was 106. That's when I thought that did it. Like, that was over. Like, you just can't keep playing this game of not being able to stop them. The Pacers had to pretty much go perfect then and stop them every single time down. And I was like, oh, well, that'll do it. 7 points with a minute left. Like, that's not good. But then Tyrese Haliburton makes a very quick layup, 3 seconds into the shot clock. So it's 117-112. 57 seconds left. Donovan Mitchell gets fouled. Pascal Siakam, really dumb foul because, all they had to do was defend that possession. And then, if they defend it well, they don't have to foul. And they're only down 5 and they go down their side of the court down 5. But Pascal runs up against him on accident, kind of bumps him. It was pretty questionable, but still, why are you doing that? Why are you trying to foul or whatever you were doing to foul him? That was dumb. He makes both of them. They go back up by 7 with 57 seconds left. I'm like, okay, now we're into that. It's going to be a 7-5, 7-5, and then Pacers will eventually go away. Go all the way to the 47-second mark. And this is when Aaron Nesmith makes that dunk off of the second miss. They go to the replay. It was overturned. At first, they called it offensive interference, but then they realized, wow, that ball was way off the rim, so that's going to count, and it was a dunk. At first, people were saying it was an and one, but it wasn't. So it ends up being 119-114. And then with 27 seconds left, Donovan Mitchell, offensive foul. That's when after the dunk and after the replay, they inbound the ball. Donovan Mitchell's dribbling it up on the sideline by the Pacers bench, and he gets cut off by Nesmith because Nesmith, great footwork to get over to the sideline. And Donovan Mitchell's only move is to take the ball from his right over the top of Nesmith to his left. And when he's doing it, his elbow makes contact with Nesmith. And I thought for sure, because the rule says if it doesn't even have to be a basketball play, yes, a basketball play or or move on the ball with it being a basketball play, it's not deemed flagrant. But if you make contact to the head, then I think 100% of the time that's usually called with an elbow. If you make contact with somebody else's head with your elbow, that's going to be a flagrant, even if it was on purpose or not. They end up reviewing it. It's not called a flagrant. It's called a common foul, but at least the Pacers get the ball back. It's a quick layup for Pascal. Ends up being, it's a Donovan turnover. Wait, what? Oh, no, sorry. So Donovan turns it over. He elbows. That's right. He elbowed Nesmith, and then Jared Allen gets to Tyrese's shot, blocks it off of the block. Pascal gets it, and he ends up making it back up for a layup. So it's 119-116. Sorry, it's late, and I'm trying to read this. But yeah, Pascal makes the layup. It's 119-116. Cavs call timeout. 27 seconds left. Ty Jerome enters the game for Okoro, Mitchell for Dean Wade, and then Max Strus is the one that's inbounding. Max Strus throws kind of a lob up over, I think it's Miles that was guarding the inbounds. He lobs it up over Miles or Pascal. It's one of those. I think it's Pascal because Miles was guarding Jared Allen, and Jared Allen tries to catch it, but he didn't see Nembhard come from the weak side. And Nembhard, as soon as Jared Allen almost catches it, Nembhard comes in and swipes it and knocks it down, and then he ends up getting it. So then he dribbles it down. Pacers don't have a timeout. They go down. Tyrese Haliburton is fouled a shooting foul with 12 seconds left. They're down 3. It's an okay foul, I guess, because, if he hits 2, it's 119, 118, and then you go into the foul game. Well, he makes the first one. It's 119, 117. Pacers trail by 2 with 12 seconds left. Tyrese misses the second one. He gets the offensive rebound in tons of traffic. I don't know how he got it, to be honest with you, but it was really bad box out for the Cavs. He gets it, and then he steps back. He goes to right about where the hash mark would be, just above the 3-point arc. He starts to do the dribble, and then straight away from 3, right above the 3-point line. He does that where he crosses over and he steps back into his 3-point shot, and from the top of the key hits the 3 to win the game. Sorry, that was really hard to do because I was running out of breath. It's hot in this room, and it's 11 o'clock. So thanks for bearing with me. But that was kind of the rundown of what happened at the end of the game. And the Pacers just stole it. Completely took it away from the Cavs. It was, again, one of the best endings I think I've ever seen in a basketball game. And the Pacers now go up 2-0. Reason why I went through all that is the Pacers have so much confidence. I mean, everything I was reading was Pacers causing turnovers, Pacers causing substitutions, Pacers causing timeouts. Everything was going right. Kenny Atkinson and the Cavs were backpedaling, and eventually ran out of space to backpedal, and now are up against the wall to a point where if they lose game 3, it's over. Like, you're not coming back from 3-0 when you've got 4 games. You got to beat the Pacers 4 straight times to win it. I just don't see that happening at all, even if you're healthy. So this game, I mean, a lot of people will say 2-0, you drop 2-0 at home. You have to go on the road for game 3, down 2-0. The series is probably over. The Cavs are a very good team, so I'm not going to go that far and say that right now. But, I mean, the odds of the Cavs winning this series, probably 1% or less. So it's not good for a Cavs team that had an incredible season, coach of the year, arguably one of the best guards in this league, and Donovan Mitchell, the best defensive player of the year. They came out like they came out hot in the beginning of the season, 15-0 to start this season. I have to feel like if you're a Cavs fan, this is just so disappointing because you get all this way and then you have these huge injuries to 3 of your key players, and it's taken away a lot of just what the series was going to be. I think it was going to be such a good series if those guys were healthy, and it was a really good game too, and a great game 1. But I just feel like at this point, you're to the point where you've just lost so much. I don't know how you recover if you're this Cavs team. I just don't know what you do at this point to come back. So that'll be it for tonight. I just want to get on here, and I mean, that was crazy. One of the best games I've ever watched at the end. That fourth quarter, not one of the best games I've ever watched. It was an awful game to watch, but one of the best endings is what I should say that I've ever seen. I mean, we just keep doing this. Every time that we do this, I'm like, oh, that's the best ending I've ever seen. This tops that Bucks one, I think, at this point, because more meaningful game. But yeah, that'll do it for me tonight. I'm worn. I'm so tired from that game. Players are probably tired too. I'm gonna go watch some highlights before I head off to bed. But it's late and I can't keep my thoughts straight. I'm tired, so I'll end it here. We'll probably do another episode, and if not, we'll do Game 3 preview. But we'll also do a recap in that episode too. It'll probably only be an hour long or so, that preview, just because Game 3, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but I think the writing is pretty much getting set up on the wall right now. Of this series is starting to head into it's over. So yeah, great win for the Pacers. Thanks for listening or watching. If you watch this long, I'm starting to get loopy, so I'm out. Again, you can find us the Pacers Fever Show on socials, X, Instagram, Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube, the Pacers Fever Show, and anywhere you get your podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. What a win for these Indiana Pacers in Game 2. They go up 2-0 on the Cavs. Game 3 will be Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. And game 3 will be back at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where the Pacers will look to give the Cavs a 3-0 deficit and push them to the brink of elimination as the Pacers steal game 2 at Rocket Arena. And yeah, it's looking good, Pacer fans. So have a good night. Have a great morning if you're listening to this tomorrow morning, which will be Wednesday morning. So have a good morning. Have a good rest of your day. And we will see you guys very soon for that pregame Game 3? Yeah, game 3. There we go. It's late. We will be doing our game 3 preview coming up this week. I think it'll drop on Thursday. So be lookout for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we will see you guys next time.